Alright guys, how's it going? This is Video Boy and welcome to part 4B. So this is the continuation of the last episode. It was split into two parts again because it was just too long. But it all has to do with the same subject, so it's good that it's in two different videos. In different parts, but not two different episodes. So enjoy the video and see you guys next time. Actually, I think we should implement that right now, just because. So let's do that. Public entity snapshot, get save snapshot. Okay, so this is going to be the snapshot for saving. So we'll just do return new entity snapshot, and we'll put in the ID. What do we call the ID again for the player? Oh, we didn't even actually give them IDs. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, so we can just remove the IDs. Remove the ID in here. The reason I implemented IDs was because Archipelago does it, but we don't need it for this kind of games, so there you go. So we won't have the ID anymore. Whoops, we'll remove this here. Alright, sorry about that. Okay, we'll have the type. We can't just do type, we gotta do type.getID because that's to be the ID of the type. For the x and y, we'll put pose.x, pose.y, and we'll just put a new hash map here. Actually, we shouldn't even be using hash map in the constructor here. Okay, once again, I need to change something here, sorry. Like this. There you go. Okay, so basically when we need to save the map, the entities, we're going to be calling this method on all the entities and getting their snapshots, putting them together, and then saving them. The one issue is that, well, it's not an issue, but if you guys want to do this for your other entities, you can also just override this. And you'd basically have to do entity snapshot. Snapshot is equal to super.get save snapshot. So you're just going to be getting the current snapshot that you created in the entity class, and then you can add on to it. We'll do return snapshot. So if we use that spawn radius thing again, you would do snapshot dot put float. Make sure you use the same string key or else you won't be able to find it. And then here you can put your spawn radius variable. We don't have it in here, but that's how you would do it. So I'll leave it like this in the code just in case you guys need to see it. I should also put in the one here. I'll just comment it out. So do spawn radius is equal to snapshot.get float. And the default value would be 50, just say. And then in here we would do snapshot.put float spawn radius. So of course we don't actually have that, but I'm just going to keep that in the code. This doesn't work anymore, so now we're going to end up loading the entities from the file. So we're going to have to create a class to load them up. So let's do that. Let's create a new class here. Whoops. We'll call it entity loader, and it's just going to be a collection of two static methods to load in entities, and then I'll show you guys after how to save them. So we're going to run the game after we're done loading. actually, the code for this is basically the same as the custom game map loader. So I'm going to put those side by side, and we'll copy as much as we can. Okay, so you go like this here. Okay. And here we'll put an array list. So this is going to load in an array list of entities, and it's going to have the ID of the file. We'll have entities, I guess. Okay, I'm not too sure how that worked there, but that's fine. Files.local. I'll just do files.internal and then entities.json. So we're going to simplify it a little bit here, but you would need to change it around if you want it to work with the way we saved our maps before. But it shouldn't be too bad. Okay, and this is going to give us an array list of entity snapshots is equal to, we need a JSON here. Oh, we should probably do an entity snapshot array like this instead. Okay. So now we're going to be getting them from the file, and now we need to actually parse these entity snapshots and create actual entities based off of that. So let's do a loop through them. So entity snapshot in snapshots. Okay, we need to create an array list of entities, so array list entities is equal to new array list entity. Okay, and for each one we're basically going to do entities add entity type. So this is our loader for the entities. Entity type create entity using snapshot. We'll be passing the entity snapshot. Shot like this. Oh, and we also need access to the game map, so game map like that, and then here we can return entities. Let's change this a little bit here just so we can have it a little more dynamic, since we are passing in an ID for the file. Okay, there you go. Let's keep that open, and let's go back to game map. In here we can now load in these entities. So we'll do a for loop. So we're going to make this no, we're going to do entities dot add all. And you're going to add in all the entities that we get from the entity loader. So entity loader dot we're going to have to change the method name there. Our file name was entities, and the map is this. And there you go. Let's rename this method here. It's still called load map. We'll call it load entities. And let's run this, see if it works. Oh, we have an error here. Oh, okay, so 2 errors. Here we had 3 curly brackets like that. Just remove one of those. And in the entity type here, this is going to end up being 2 episodes, I think. But that's alright. Entity type is equal to new hash map. We forgot to initialize this. So my bad on that. Some of you may have actually caught that. Okay. Oh, and still another error. So let's go check this out. Entity.update. Yes, of course. We forgot to call the entity.create method here. We're supposed to do that. Entity snapshot and type and map. There you go. Run it. Hey, there you go. So right now it's being loaded, but it's not being saved. So let's just play with the loader a little bit just to make sure it's actually working. So if you do like 600 Y and then we'll make this 70 just to fool around with it a little bit. Yeah, there you go. It was moved a little bit and it was definitely higher. Okay, there you go. So you guys can create new entities to load in there. Let's actually make the save. So this part for the saving, if you guys are watching from for the tiled game maps, you do not need to watch this. Thing is, if you save when you're doing a tiled game, a player could like go into a room, destroy a bunch of entities, and then if they leave the room and come back, the entities obviously won't be there anymore. So it depends on your kind of game. Some games like to reload everything back the way it was from scratch, and they don't save anything, so that works. So it depends on your kind of game. So if you want to save the maps or not, that's up to you. Okay, so let's actually add the saving in. It's really not that hard. So let's go in here and do public static. Now the saving, you actually can't use the internal storage, which I just realized, so we're gonna have to change that. So public static void save entities. Okay, and we'll have a string ID. We'll have a game map. We don't need it actually. We'll just pass an array list of all the entities. Like this. This has to be entity. Okay, so let's change this real quick here. So this needs to become map. You do not need to do this if you are running on sorry, if you don't want to save the maps, you don't need to do this part, so don't worry about all this. Because if you do, you're going to end up having maps and stuff saved outside, and you might not want that. So maps. This ID and entities, and this is actually dot file dot make deers. Okay. And we actually should get in an array list of entities here, so let's do that. There's a lot involved in this. Okay, so just in case the map wasn't loaded, we're going to basically save an entities JSON file for the future. So save entities, and we're going to pass in the ID and the current entities value here. We don't need to give this error anymore. Okay. So this, we need to change this a little bit here. We need to change, let's not do it this way. Remove this like that. And this needs to be reduced down to like this. Okay, there you go. Okay, so let's call that a .entities file. So we're gonna have to change a couple of things around here, just to get us started here. Okay, this should be good, I think. So let's start actually creating this saving thing here. So it's not very hard. We basically just need to create an array list of entity snapshots, and we're going to save it to a file. LibGDX makes this nice and easy for us. This needs to be entity snapshot. So for entity in entities, you want to do snapshot.add snapshots.add entity.get snapshot. So this is where we get the saving snapshot for the entity. We can get rid of that like this. Now let's actually add the code in to save it. So we need to do this here so we can actually create the map. And we'll just copy all the stuff in here. And the data, instead of data, will be snapshots. Instead of .map, it'll be .entities. So it's a .entities file that we're creating with this. And that should be it. So in here we need to actually pass an entities array list. So we're just going to pass our empty one that we have here. Okay, there you go. Basically now, if you guys want to save, I suggest you do it in the dispose method. So if you want to save, just basically do entity loader dot save entities. You'll put your map name in. So we're going to call it basic. And then you pass in your entities like this. So now if we load, there shouldn't be anything happening. Oh, null pointer exception. Okay, so basically what happened is that we return null here, and basically what you need to just do is return current entities instead. And if we look in our desktop thing here, now in the maps folder we have basic.entities. It's giving me this error here, but that's fine. So it's an empty entity file. So if we run it again, you see there's nothing going on. So basically our entities.json, we can copy in this value here. And yeah, that's basically it. So our player's in here. If we move it around, it should save if we close. Let's check. It might not though. Okay, so it doesn't get saved. I think we can fix that in here. Okay, so we're actually going to do something a little different here. We're going to do if GDX dot input dot is key expressed keys dot, and we're going to do s. Then we'll save. Basically, you can't really save stuff on dispose because dispose, well, it doesn't get called if you close the app, I don't think. It gets disposed for other stuff. So basically, if you want to save, you press the S key. And yeah, that should work. So if you guys need to save at different places later on, like on different events, like if stuff happens, like if the player exits the room or whatever, you can do that. But for now, it's just you press S and it'll save. So you press S there, and it should be saved. And if we jump, we press S midair, That should also be saved. Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. So I want to explain to you quickly what's going to be going on with this tutorial series. So it is technically done, but I will be adding code to the GitHub when I do other tutorials. So I'm going to be doing some other tutorials, not specifically related to this, but it will be covering LibGDX or game development concepts. So I will be doing a tutorial on Scene2D. So in the Scene2D tutorial, I'll be using this code base to code the Scene2D stuff, but it won't be a tutorial for this game. It'll just be a general Scene2D tutorial. Also for the networking, I'll implement the networking on this game so you guys can check the code. But that one I won't be showing any actual code in the video. So we're still kind of working on this project, but not really. But yeah, that's it for this episode, guys. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.